Mr. Chris Fillmore, how are you, bud?
I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah?
Yeah. Get to ride road race bikes at Kramer Motorcycles.
Yeah, happy days. What you're looking at here is one of the most specialized track motorcycles in the world today. The Kramer GP2-890RR is the second supersport machine to come from the German manufacturer Kramer Motorcycles, but compared to the first iteration that was launched back in 2020, this is a far sharper racetrack tool. Almost everything on the GP2-890RR has come in for serious revision. The motor pumps out a claimed 138 horsepower. There's a new progressive rear linkage to complement fully reworked suspension at both ends, new slipperier bodywork, and an electronics package that houses an IMU, 9-level traction control, wheelie control, and a WorldSSP-spec Mektronic ECU that lets you really dive into the data to help you eke out faster lap times. The GP2-890RR is limited to 125 units worldwide and will cost you a very handsome $39,995 here in the United States. However, for that price you are not getting a diluted, mass-produced tool. The Kramer GP2-890RR is a motorcycle designed for one thing and one thing only: going fast around the racetrack. We got real lucky recently and raced the bike at the 2023 Barber Vintage Festival. On hand was company CEO Marcus Kramer and lead engineer Felix Richter, who we sat down with to find out all about the company and this new beast. This is a long one, so grab a drink, block out the next 20 minutes of your life, and sit down to learn a few things about Kramer Motorcycles.
Is my hair alright?
Yeah, you look fabulous, darling.
Is that good?
Yeah, you look awesome. Cheers, lads. Yeah. Happy days.
Prost.
I know you're not supposed to drink in motorcycle videos, but screw it. We've been riding bikes all day, so we deserve a beer, I think, after all that.
Definitely.
Guys, okay. Marcus, Felix, and these are the guys that basically make Kramer what it is. You guys obviously have you've been involved with the company a long time. You've been involved in it longer because it's your name on the name on the company. So give us a bit of history about it. Like, how did this whole thing start, and where is it going?
I was a professional racer. I used to work for KTM in R&D, and I got into racing through KTM. They took me to a track, I tried it, got addicted. Yeah. A normal story that a lot of people are sharing, and first year I raced the super bike because I thought I need all the horsepower.
Yeah.
After 1 year I looked in the mirror and said, well, that's way too much for you, Marcus. And I decided to build my own race bike, based on the 690 engine.
Right.
And built my super mono, raced it, developed it, raced it, developed it. So I did it for 4 years, and in that time really in my head, the perfect super mono I was building together. But I knew
super mono was very big in Europe as well.
Yeah, but it was even before that time, I think in the 90s it was the height of the super mono.
Yeah.
But I was really a strong believer in lightweight bikes, and I think that's the perfect bike for track day riders. And when you want to develop your skills, doing that on a lightweight bike is much better than doing it on a super bike.
Yeah.
So
you don't get scared quite as much.
Yeah.
It's funny that I've had that conversation with so many people about you don't need horsepower to have fun, and 690 Kramers are a perfect example of that. And it's almost like the 250 versus 450 motocrosser. Yeah. Like, everyone thinks they need a 450. It's like, no, get a 250 and you'll be fine.
I also made that mistake.
Exactly. Those ones seem to hurt almost more. So you went and started Kramer in what year was that?
It's 10 years ago, 2013.
13. Yeah. Okay. So how many people went with you? Did you just start out on your own? Or?
I started on my own, but I would say 6 months later I got a friend of mine from KTM, very good cut engineer. Yep. Got him over to Kramer. Okay. And we basically did the Evo development,
That's the 690?
Yeah.
Yep.
two-man show.
Yep.
And the company grow over the years, but the first years it was really slow growth, and the last, I would say, three years really accelerating.
Yeah. Okay.
Is also that with a new model, and
Yeah, I was going to say, is that because of the arrival of the 890, or?
It's part of it, but I think also you need to when you're a new brand, people need to know that you're there and existing. So there was one part of which I really underestimated. I'm an engineer, so I say I built an awesome product. But you also have to let the world know.
Then exactly.
So that takes time.
Absolutely.
So and I think when the 890 arrived, a lot of the people already heard about Kramer and the 690. And in Europe, the lightweight bikes are not so popular. It's more super bikes, of course, and supersport. And with the 890, we really got into the supersport segment. And of course, the cooperation with KTM and building the RC8C for KTM, helped a lot in brand recognition.
Brilliant.
So,
I was going to ask you about that, but I'll ask you as well. Like, how long have you been at Kramer now?
I started to help out in 2020.
Right.
March 2020, and then I finished my apprenticeship, and basically during the apprenticeship I already started at Kramer full time.
Okay. So you, what's your role within Kramer? Is it?
I'm development mechanic.
Okay.
And I just get more and more into the whole data stuff and suspension development and development for the electronics. I'm pretty decent with that, and I do that all the time.
Right.
Spend a lot of time on the racetrack doing tests with different riders, trying to make our bikes as fast as possible.
Okay. So since the arrival of the 890 though, I mean, everything's kind of gone up a number of levels. I mean, especially when it comes to electronics. I mean, like you guys now, I remember riding the first generation 890, I don't even remember what electronics it had, if it had any at all, and now we have basically a proper engine management system, and you've got proper traction control, you've got all these things. So is this something that has been in development with you guys and then sort of spawned out to other models, or how does it work?
So the system itself it's already developed by Mektronic, and you just have to fit it to a different bike. Basically,
you just come in the shop and move it out.
You just have to move it to a different engine and make it communicate
one,
with
isn't it?
Different engine.
British Superbike, is that the same one as what they use in British Superbike?
Yes, they use the same ECU, and also in the World Championship.
Right, in World Supersport.
The Supersport ECU, We basically started this year with the application of the Mektronic ECU. We brought an engine to Italy to the main engine application guy from RE Engineering, and then all the trackside adjustments we did, and we made training in Imola in Italy at Mektronic, and that was basically one of the biggest milestones for me personally. Where I just learned everything I know now, and that helped me and everybody a lot, and so
it's really a close cooperation with Mektronic.
All right, so focusing on the bike that we're racing here this weekend, which is the GP2-890RR. What's been the main differences between the first 890 that I rode and this one? Because it's a pretty big change overall.
I mean, the motor is one big element. There's a lot of titanium in there. And
so we got what's different? Penkel rods.
Yeah, it's a Penkel rods, Penkel piston, titanium valves, racing camshaft, machined cylinder head ports.
Is that to your spec?
The development of that engine has been done by KTM.
Okay.
So we get the engine assembled from KTM directly to our company, and we install it. It's the same spec as the latest RC8C.
Right.
So second gen RC8C is the same engine as in the RR.
Okay, cool.
The difference is, as we just said, the Mektronic system, the electronics, huge step for us. And the other big difference is the fairing update. So we raced BSB already last year, and the one of the weak points was always at top speed.
Yep.
So to get more top speed, you need more power and better aero. So
but we don't have wings on this thing.
No
wings.
No wings.
Why not? Why no wings? Everyone has to have wings according to.
We need top speed.
Yeah, top speed.
We need top speed.
Less downforce, more top speed.
Yes. And with the fairing, we have in theory we calculated 9% drag decrease.
Yep.
So less drag.
Yep.
And we calculated 7 kilometers per hour more top speed just with the fairing.
Yep.
And we also see that in real, in BSB with the speed traps, compare it to last year.
Yep. Because you guys race, it's the GP2 category, isn't it?
Yes,
BSB.
correct.
So that runs alongside Supersport?
Correct, yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's something that I've been struggling to get my head around, that kind of format, because there was the Moto 2 bikes as well that raced in
Yes, there are Kalex bikes in there.
Yeah, okay. So chassis wise, in terms of suspension, what's the big difference there?
The first change we did on the development bike was a change of the linkage ratio. We went from a very linear linkage to a progressive linkage.
Okay.
This gives you more feeling in the top end of the stroke, especially when you're braking, for example, or when you're rolling, and when you're accelerating really hard. It just gives you a point where the suspension settles in and you get a lot of pressure on the rear tire and just get traction and the bike goes forward.
Yeah.
And the biggest change was in the suspension. I'm not going too much into detail here because it's kind of complicated.
Felix got a suspension dyno, and
you guys got a suspension dyno.
Exactly. Yeah, I got a suspension dyno, and I spent a few weekends taking the cartridge apart and putting it back together, and just trying different settings, trying to work out how different changes of the shims or changes on the pistons really influence your damping. And in the end, I was able to make a setting to our thoughts that we thought could improve the performance, especially with the Pirelli tires, and it paid off. We put it into the bike and we were 1.5 seconds faster immediately.
Wow, it's a big difference.
Yeah, so we have increased the feeling for the front tire massively.
Yeah.
We have increased our knowledge about suspension, just had the ability to support the customers has grown, and
the range of adjustment is way bigger than before.
Right.
It's roughly 500% the adjustment range of the standard WP4.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, that actually brings me to another question. You're selling a bespoke racing product, which is pretty rare in the current climate, especially when production bikes are as good as they are. Who is the customer for Kramer, and what are they expecting when they buy this bike? Because normally when you go and buy a super sport bike or a super bike or whatever it is, you go to your dealer, you spend your 25 grand or whatever, and then you're kind of on your own. Yeah. So what is it about that sets Kramer apart in those terms?
Biggest difference is we build purpose-built race bikes.
Yeah.
And it's not a street bike and then convert it to a race bike. And we always try to, get the, let's say, MotoGP feeling and emotions also, too accessible for the hobby rider.
Yeah.
And, because we are only focusing on the racetrack, we have different limitations than the big OEMs.
Yeah.
So we can do the design differently, and this is why our bikes are so much lighter than all the other OEM bikes. Even if you convert them to race bikes, they're normally still 10-15 kilograms heavier than our bikes.
Yeah. Has that changed in terms of is that present a challenge in terms of homologation for race series around the world, because they're not sure where the bikes can race?
I mean, on a professional level,
there goes the Kramer of the 70s, the TZ750.
In most of the professional, like world championship level and even national levels, we're not allowed to race because all the FIM rulebook says first chapter has to be based on a homologated model. Right. So that kicks us out of the professional racing. Right. Except BSB.
How did you get in with BSB then? Because
BSB is the only national club that really introduced the class for the prototype bikes.
Right.
And I hope also Motor America or IDM and all the others.
That'd be great.
But yeah, our main audience is the club racing, you know, the amateur racing.
Yeah.
And they do their own rules. So yeah, depending on the club. I mean, here it's called lightweight or super mono or whatever.
And when they call out the classes to do it, there's like 17 classes in one round of racing. I'm like, I don't even know where I'm at, but like, it's kind of weird, especially a series where you can race a 1948 hand shift Harley and you can race a 2023 Kramer 890. So yeah, I don't know.
So even in Europe, you know, the amateur clubs, they set the rules and we are allowed to race in there.
Right.
But it's in Europe easier with the GP2 because that fits normally into the supersport spectrum, or they have a 750 class, or some clubs have also formula classes to put the bikes together. But the GP2 is more successful in Europe. Yep. Because there's just a lack of lightweight classes in Europe. Okay. So it's a different story here in the US.
I was going to say, like, how has the uptake been in America?
Yeah, and then here, I would say from the Evos, we sell 80% of our production is sold to the US. Because you have the lightweight classes and the demand.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't thought that we would have been that open to lightweight bikes. It's normally out here, horsepower was always king.
No, it's worse in Europe.
Hey, are there any competitors to Kramer? I mean, like, we take out Calex and those guys, because those are Grand Prix bikes.
Yeah.
But is there any like production racing bike manufacturers in the world that do what you guys do that aren't Kramer?
I mean, there are small tuning shops that do, let's say, 1 to 5 bikes a year.
Right.
In in the quantity that we are doing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, our competitors are, converted OEM bikes,
So the way I see it is, especially the Double I is a top spec, next generation super sport bike, just without the homologation.
Right.
That's what it is. We've seen it in the results of the BSP, because we are racing together with the super sports, just in a different category.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at the lap times on the racetracks and what the bike is capable of and how the riders feel about it,
it's going good.
Yeah.
It's fast.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bloody fantastic thing to ride. Yeah. I mean, I find that it's the first bike that, and same with the 890, the first generation 890 was the same thing, was the first bike that I'd ridden that I actually fit on. Because I've got long legs and, all that stuff, and it's just trying to fit on a standard production bike is damn near impossible without serious modification, I find.
That's also a big difference, from Kalex, they develop bikes for Grand Prix riders, which are tiny and, and, our target audience is the normal amateur racers, and, we also need to fit tall guys on.
Yeah.
So the whole ergonomics is a bit more roomy, and you can adjust a lot on the bike, to make it fit your size and your riding style.
Yeah, it's one of those good bikes. It's easy to ride, but maintains its ease the faster you go. Like, it's not one of those bikes that, like, the faster you go, it feels more and more and more knife edge, which I guess is like, it's almost like a Grand Prix chassis, but not quite as razor sharp, which is a good thing for 99% of the world's riders, because most people would never ride a Grand Prix bike.
The fact is, the potential is still there in the bike. It's just adjusted in a way that it's good for the amateur rider.
Yeah.
And this adjustment range just makes the bike such a good product.
Yeah.
It gives you all the quality parts of a high class race bike, but it's already in a range that everybody can get on the bike and have fun. And you can go into a direction that it fits a slower rider, but you can go all the way to a world class rider and make the bike just as fast as any other bike in those, especially super sport 600 classes.
Yeah, I mean, well, how many 890s have we got out on the grid this weekend? Do you know?
890s, no.
I think we counted the Kramer bikes here was 22 at Jensen. But I think it's, let's quickly make the math. I think 14 Evos single cylinder bikes.
Yeah.
And
890s,
890s.
That's good. That's bloody good. Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy to be one of them. Thanks for letting me out. Well, look, we'll wrap it up, but thanks for putting me on the bike, guys. It's been bloody fantastic. So, all right, tomorrow.
Enjoy the ride.
Tomorrow we go racing. Yay! Not a bad day, not a bad weekend, to be honest. We got 4 days on the GP2-890RR. What a special piece of kit this is. You know, I'm a big fan of road racing, as everybody knows. I never shut up about it. But I'm even more of a bigger fan of road racing motorcycles, like bespoke road racing motorcycles. And unless you're playing around in Moto 2, Moto 3, you know, you're not getting them anymore. They used to be everywhere. You know, back in the 70s, 80s, all that stuff, they used to be all over the joint. You know, you could go and buy yourself a Ninja 400 like that guy's got over there. Or you can start, you know, playing in supersport, superbike and things like that. But these are a very different animal. You know, these are stiff, bespoke racing chassis. You know, you've also got the 890 Duke motor, which has its own limitations here and there. You know, I would love to have a go on this bike with the Nova gearbox, with the racing Nova gearbox that they developed with the guys in the British Superbike Championship, GP2 category, I think it is. I mean, you are putting in a good investment into this thing. You know, you're paying 40 grand or a couple of dollars under 40 grand for something like this, for the GP2 at least. Now, as this stuff continues to evolve, you know, the price is going to come down with secondhand models as well. But this is not one of those bikes like a superbike, if you're going for championships, that you're going to chuck away after a year and buy a new one. You know, we're like just in the pits over the last few days, you know, people have been riding Kramers from 5, 6, 7 years ago that are still pumping out really good lap times. You know, they're very, very tough bikes. In fact, one of the guys today did a 33.0 on one of the single cylinder bikes that I did a 5-hour race on back in 2019. So it shows how strong these things are. But beautiful things, really skinny, light, nimble, very eye-catching, beautiful design, no fat whatsoever. None of the crap that you have to deal with production bikes. That's the other thing too, is you don't have to convert it. You know, once you've bought it, you've got yourself a race bike. That's one of the great things about this. It's like, it is a very narrow market, I'll give you that, no doubt. You're not selling this thing to anybody who doesn't want a track bike, but you know, RB at Iconic, he's got a single cylinder bike, absolutely loves it. And I don't know anybody that rides these bikes that gets off and going, yeah, I didn't really enjoy that. Like, these things are awesome. These things are absolutely designed for the job. These are not Swiss Army knife motorcycles. These are machete motorcycles. You know, they're built for a task. That's what I absolutely love. And Marcus Kramer, you know, what a fantastic guy. I mean, he's a dude that loves the sport. Like, he just loves seeing motorcycles out there being raced. And you know, as I say, you buy a racing motorcycle with this. You know, he wants to see more people at race. Of course he does. I mean, that's how the guy makes money. As far as the races go, I think I got third in the money race. So made $1,700 fifth. What am I talking about? Fifth. I got fifth place in the money race. Made $1,700. So that wasn't bad for finishing fifth. I don't think I've ever made so much money for not winning a race. And then a bunch of thirds and fourths and whatever. Had a couple of good battles with guys over the race, but yeah, at the end of the day, a fantastic bike. I wish I could afford one. I simply can't. But for me, at my level and what I want out of racing these days, like, I don't really have the need or urge to go racing superbikes. Superbikes are awesome, but this sort of speed, you know, 130, 140 mile an hour for most places, that's fair enough for me. I'm quite happy with that. But I love that this thing is a bespoke machine. If you guys want to learn more, click the links that I'll leave in the story below. It'll take you to Kramer's website, also take you to Joe Carbonen and Brittany, who import these things and run all the Kramer North America products. Fantastic people, you know, getting out there doing it for the right reasons. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the Kramer 890 GP2-RR. Fantastic piece of kit. You know, maybe in another life, or maybe if I get one of those great big winning lottery tickets, I might have one. But we'll see you again soon, guys. Cheers.